So what happens when the most death-defying action franchise of our time decides to go out not with a whisper, but a carefully controlled detonation? Well, in Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, Ethan Hunt's story races toward its end with explosive stakes and surprising restraint. Now, stick around, because this isn't just another spy movie, it's the final chapter of a legend. What's up, my know-it-alls? Today we're tackling Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, the long-awaited conclusion to the Tom Cruise spy franchise. After years of cliffhangers, parachute jumps, face-swapping betrayals, does this last mission measure up? That's the question we're going to answer, but don't forget, this is a non-spoiler review, so you're safe. If you haven't seen it yet, hopefully we're going to let you know exactly what it is you need to look forward to, and if you even should be going to the movies to see it. So let's take a look. To say Ethan Hunt faces his ultimate test sort of in this globe-trotting romp, we'll say, that would be very much underselling it. The stakes are so incredibly high that the movie barely has a chance to sort of breathe in terms of all the things it's trying to do at once. But it not only kept me engaged, I didn't even notice its runtime, which is actually pretty significant. And as a result, I find myself going, well, I can't get too much into all the spoiler stuff. Mr. Know-It-All and I recorded a full spoiler review, which will be coming out Saturday morning. So hopefully you get an opportunity to watch that review and hear everything we have to say spoilery. But otherwise, we're going to keep this thing relatively speaking, sort of friendly. They do balance a lot of what's going on. I think the movie picks up, relatively speaking, right where Dead Reckoning Part 1 left off, or just Dead Reckoning. Because remember, this was originally supposed to be the sequel, but whatever. But you don't really need to rewatch to follow along. They kind of explain everything to you as you're going through, like legitimately.
CIA Black Vault break-in.
Am I reading this correctly? The Kremlin bombing?
In fairness, the bomb was actually meant to kill him.
They show you so many scenes from the past, and they whether or not it was always the intention, they're trying to definitely sell us on the fact that this whole thing was orchestrated or was telling a unified story with an ultimate endgame goal that was taking us here all along. Yeah. And I'll get into a lot of that stuff in the spoiler review and stuff. So, but again, it's less about sort of topping the last stunt in this thing, as much as more about the overall payoff, kind of the years of character arcs that we've seen. It's giving them a lot of purpose, which I think is really cool. It's funny, even though it's as big as it is, the stakes are very, very personal in this. I don't mean planetary, though that's definitely a thing. But it's a shift that sort of makes all the difference in terms of how you digest this. All right, so let's get into some of the action and direction stuff. Christopher McQuarrie definitely is here for this. He dials up this sort of grounded tension over bombastic explosions. Like it's so funny because it's so incredibly grounded that even the stuff that happens that we'd normally be like oohing and eyeing about feels very much like you're pulled in, you're sucked in for sure. Practical effects still shine. They're very much amazing. You more than once you're going to see something that defies logic, reason, anything resembling sense. And the immediate go-to that you have is, oh, well, obviously, Tom Cruise did that. And I found myself doing that again and again and again throughout this thing. The more every time something crazy would come out, I was like, oh, well, he's clearly doing this. And I think it's a lot of what he's going to be is what you're going to be. That's what you're going to experience when you go to this. I know that it's so funny. The Oscars have now introduced a brand new Stunts category, and I have the feeling that Tom Cruise is definitely setting himself up for that category, which sort of sucks because all the other professional stunt people that have been doing this forever and ever probably won't get an opportunity this first go around, but whatever. But the thing is, all of it makes sense. Like, nothing is stunts for stunt's sake. It's so tight and it's so a part of the storytelling that it feels narratively driven, not spectacle driven. So last movie, the motorcycle deal when he goes off the cliff thing, that felt spectacle motivated. We got to do something big. Thomas has been crazy. Let's do this. It's funny, Mrs. Know-It-All pointed out immediately as soon as we left, she's like, oh, well, we're not clearly they're not, there's no car chases in this one or something along those lines. And I was like, yeah, no, everything was much bigger than that. And it is. It's all the stuff you've seen in the trailer. So I'm not telling you anything you haven't seen. But like but I guess for me, the point of me saying that was that each movie feels like it's lived in its own space when it comes to the effects and when it comes to the stunts, when it comes to the things that they're doing. And I feel like this one also marks its own place in a way that you're going to find is both unique and set apart. So it works. Yeah, I really, just bottom line, it works. You're still going to get your adrenaline fix. Don't worry. Obviously, all that mayhem does feel earned. It's not very much obligatory. Um, there are some really stealth heavy sequences, uh, and by that I just mean but it doesn't get lost. Past installments we've seen, like they're at this dinner party, they're at this thing, they're at this other place, they're doing whatever, and you kind of get lost in that shuffle. They don't do that. This definitely has some of that stuff, but it doesn't. You don't get lost in it too much, and you get all the things. You get all the Mission Impossible things you absolutely get in this, including an aged Tom Cruise. He's not aging well, if that makes sense, but the guy's still handling himself. He delivers more of an introspective Ethan in this one. He's still running full tilt, like every opportunity he's running. That trailer, the one that ran with that shows him running constantly on everything. That's basic. They just took all of the main running scenes, bridged them together, and were like, "Here, this is the shot." And literally, it's all those scenes. Haley Atwell's back as Grace. She's really good. I like her a lot. Her chemistry with Tom Cruise sort of really, really has deepened from part one. There's clearly been, and they do, I guess, so like there's the line from the trailer you've seen where he's like, he gassed a security briefing, blah, blah, blah. And that was 2 months ago. Okay. That's the only real time framing we get, which is that Ethan's been on the run for 2 months since the previous movie. Okay. That's the only setup you're given in terms of where this lives in time. But now in that time, Haley Atwell's character clearly she's done whatever agents do to become useful to the likes of Kittredge and them, and she's definitely one of them now at this point. And it's fun. Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, all back. Pegg's character, he's less like, it's funny, there was an original draft of this when I was sort of thinking through my thoughts. And I was like, oh yeah, Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg, and Simon Pegg's doing a lot of comedy. Simon Pegg doesn't do any comedy. I don't even, and when I wrote it, I was like, boy, you're on autopilot. And so he's not okay. Not that he doesn't do any comedy. He's all his Benji-isms are there, but his character has morphed and evolved in the best possible way. Same thing with Ving Rhames. Ving Rhames' character is very much part of the setup of all of this and plays a very, very integral part of the overall narrative in a way that I think is it's very emotionally satisfying, if you get what I mean. I know that Isai Morales, who plays the villain, I didn't mind him the last one. They gave him enough menace and mystique in the previous installment. He felt redundant in this. So, how do I say this without spoiling anything? You'd never get your normal mustache twirling villain like you normally have in other installments of Mission Impossible. Why? You know this from the previous movie. You're dealing with an AI of some sort. And that the end game is playing out for that whole scenario. But I guess you still need someone for Ethan to punch and chase down, and that ends up being Isai Morales' character in this. He's given purpose for the most part, but it doesn't really make him that much more compelling, to be honest. All right, when he gets to things like theme, and I guess there's less, again, this whole thing's less about saving the world and much more about, it's about saving your soul. And that's not being dramatic, I swear. The movie leans into this idea of the ideas of trust, legacy, definitely some sacrifice in there. And while sometimes some of these might feel like they're commonplace setups, they do feel very much like there are stakes in this. And I feel like we always have some measure of, ooh, the world's at risk and whatever else. But it felt so earnest in this one. And there's a lot of fans out there who are probably going to miss the nonstop momentum of earlier entries because obviously, though there's a ton of that, there's a lot of character-driven stuff. They have to set a whole bunch of things up, and every time they do, they usually add clips from the previous movies, stuff we've seen. And it helps contextually, and you sort of need that, especially if you haven't, if it's been a while since you've watched them all. I know one thing, this movie definitely made me want to go back and watch the franchise. Like I kind of want to watch them all straight through and sort of see and build the momentum up in there. But anyway, I think from a technical standpoint, sort of directing and whatnot, cinematography, if you will, it's things shot gorgeously. Yeah, there's actually a really, really nice mountain sequence that you can sort of hang in a gallery. It's really cool. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. Lauren Ball's score continues to build tension without overpowering the drama, which I think is good. It's funny because it all harkens back to those original notes. And they really do a good job of incorporating that original Mission Impossible music. I don't just mean the Danny Elfman stuff. I mean the original, like from the series. That's where you get that that whole musical cue. That's from the original series and has been carried forward throughout all of this. So I think that's wonderful. It adds sort of it adds character to the whole the soundtrack, if you will. Sound design again deserves something sort of a special nod. There's a lot of really great quiet moments that don't. It's hard to hit silence. Okay, it's the equivalent of the white space, like in comic books. So silence matters, very important, and I feel like this does a really good job. What are some of my drawbacks? What are some of my criticisms or critiques, if you will? The pacing in the very beginning to set everything up. Everything is very exposition heavy in the very beginning. But once you can kind of past that, and then when the moments arrive, they arrive, and you're there, and you're in the action of it all, and it's actually a lot of fun. So I look forward to sort of talk. I really look forward to talking to Miss Know It All about this, to sort of get her take on the whole thing. Because again, it didn't. I will say that it didn't feel like it was the what is it, almost nearly 3 hours that it was. And I'm okay with that. Like I really enjoyed this movie a lot, for regardless of the length of it. Not every returning character gets sort of the send off you might hope. I'll put it like that. But everyone gets a moment, and I do appreciate that a lot. You find out a lot of interesting backstories to some characters you never anticipated would exist, or are the characters you think they are. I'll put it like that. Fans of the series are going to wish for kind of a more traditional final boss. I think I already talked a little bit about that, kind of touched on that. What do you want most from a franchise finale? Closure, chaos, or character? Drop your thoughts in the comment. Ultimately, smash that like button if you ever held your breath during a Tom Cruise stunt. And of course, hit subscribe for more deep dives just like this one. But ultimately, there you go. Now you know. And if noise half the battle, you have to be know it all yourself. Okay, what is the know it all index for this whole thing? Well, did it have its drawbacks? Yes. Did I have a good time? I really did. Is it the best of the franchise? I don't know. I think your mileage is going to vary. I had much more fun with this than I did the last one. And the last one, I thought really highly of. So for me, this is easily going to be a 10 out of 10.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
It has strong performances. It's got a focused storytelling. It's sort of got an elegant direction over spectacle, which I thought really, I liked. There's some small pacing lulls and a few character arcs that sort of get left hanging, dangling participles, if you will. But it's still pretty thrilling and thoughtful overall. It's definitely worth seeing, I believe, in the biggest screen possible. I think that's going to only benefit. Trust me. So do that. Make sure you get an opportunity to watch it like that. I know that I enjoyed it thoroughly seeing it in the movie theater. We saw it in AMC Laser. That's the only one that had a seat available. And it was good. Yeah, it was really good. I had a good time. So tell me what you thought. Have you seen the movie yet? If you haven't seen the movie, go see it. When you do, don't forget, we're going to have a full spoiler review on Saturday that drops with me, Mrs. Know It All. All right, guys. I'll talk to you again real soon. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. Bye.